Welcome back to our channel. We are so grateful. Oh, this is, I don't know if this is gonna work, but here, we'll see. We'll just let the smoke kind of do its thing. We have Kelli from the platform. It's a podcast. It is a wellness site. I want you to, you talk a little bit about yourself. You do so many amazing things.
Thank you. So yeah, I host the podcast, and so much of what we focus on is helping women heal, and going through my own chronic health journey, as both of you know, has been very difficult over 13 years.
Yes.
And so I created this brand and the show so that we could have conversations around how to heal alternatively with different kinds of medicine and holistically, and how you can bring in different practices and routines that really allow your body to heal, not only physically, but emotionally as well. And so having what we're going to talk about today as a part of your life has become really profound for me, because it wasn't just this is what I eat, or this is what I think, or this is how I act, but how do I nourish myself in different ways? And so that's what we're really passionate about teaching people. And that's why I love being here with you to talk about it.
We're so grateful to have. So what Kelli briefly kind of touched on is that today we're sharing our morning rituals, our morning practices, the way we start our day. That I took this from Tony Robbins, is how you prime yourself and how you get things going. And what I've learned, as Kelli was saying, is this 13-year-long health journey she's been on. For me, it's like this 29-year-long health journey I've been on my entire life. For you,
my whole life of 60 years.
As you try things on and see how they fit and what works for you. And then certain things are going to really resonate and make you feel something else that works for my mom or for Kelli. Something might really work for you, and other things you're like, not so much. Like the Palo Santo, you're like, okay, girls, like
I don't need that in my life.
That's like a little too much for me. But what we're here is just offering suggestions and things that we have found that really support us in starting our days, that just blend into the rest of it, making it be the most, like every day being the best that we want it to be.
And I think what we're doing too is to share with you so many different options, because one is going to resonate with you where another might not. So Palo Santo isn't something that's necessarily, everybody has and can have, but you've all heard of saging, or many of you might have heard of saging and having a sage stick. And that does the same thing. It's just clearing the space, getting you to just kind of be in that beautiful space of just kind of ease to wake up to kind of set your day however you see it's going to best benefit you.
Yes, so I'd love to hear your definition of what a morning ritual is, or a morning practice. Like, what would you consider encompassing a morning practice for you?
Yeah, it's interesting, and it's something that's really new for me, actually, because I never really resonated with the idea. I think it was mostly because I was coming from a place of fear. I knew that if I all of a sudden started journaling, or I started pulling cards, or doing these kinds of things that I do now so regularly and seamlessly, that I was going to have to go there. I was going to have to admit some things that were a little hard. I was going to have to be willing to cry and be quiet in my mind and in that space. And so it's taken me 31 years to get to a point where I'm like, okay, I'll journal. But for me, every morning I come out around 6 a.m. And I find that waking up early and doing this, it's so quiet outside, it's quiet in the home, and even if you have kids or a partner, you can wake up before they do and get all of this done before they come out. And I love to come out and I just have the lights dim, I light my candles, and I turn on some calming music, whether it's meditation music or spa music, or sometimes if I'm like really feeling it, I'll turn on like my upbeat music and I'm just like feeling myself while I'm doing this whole thing. And then I pull out my journal as well as my cards and my crystals, and I have a whole routine around that. And it's really just what makes me feel good that day. And sometimes I don't want to pull cards because I feel pretty clear about where I am and what I'm doing, and I have that confidence. Other days, I come out and I'm on the verge of tears, and I'm like, what am I doing? What's the purpose of this? What answer do I need today? And so that's when I'll pull out my cards and I will hold my crystals in my hand. So my routine is hold my crystals in my hand, and then I'll pull out my Palo Santo or my sage, and I'll sage my crystals, I'll sage the cards, I'll sage the journal, I'll sage myself, and then put that down, and I kind of just sit here and spend some time with my mind. And then I will pull my cards. And so when I pull the cards.
Wait, what are these cards? These are so
these
beautiful,
are
you
amazing.
guys.
Yeah, they're Rebecca
Look at
Campbell.
them.
I think they're what, $16 on Amazon?
Yes.
So great. They're the first cards I've ever had. So,
And they're called Work Your Light.
yes, they're beautiful.
And it's really interesting because I've heard a friend of mine told me that you're actually not supposed to buy your first set of cards.
Really?
That you're supposed to be gifted them.
Oh no.
And
I
so-
gifted them to myself.
Yeah, okay, but I love this. It's like, who cares? Like taboo things that you're doing. So
Yeah.
but for me, I remember telling my mom, I was like, I need you to buy me a set of cards.
So good.
So if you have a friend, just be like, listen, I'm gonna buy you yours, you buy me mine.
Yeah.
Like, let's do a little swap.
Isn't that like when you have your what is the sake? You never pour your own sake. Someone has to pour it for
Oh,
you.
really?
Yeah.
Oh,
little,
wow.
Little tricks of the trade here. Okay.
Yes.
So when I do my cards, Peggy, I will show you.
Oh, good. Because
Teach you how to pull a card.
I have never even seen these cards, and I'm so drawn to them.
Yes. So I usually, when I pull my cards, I set my crystals right here, and I also have
Okay.
this beautiful heart crystal that I was gifted by our psychic friend, Lisa.
Yeah.
And so I keep that with me as well. And so you want to shuffle your cards.
So we're putting our energy into the cards.
Yes.
And then are you also thinking of a question or just...
Yeah, usually I'm just asking for guidance and whatever I need, and I'm surrendering to whatever the universe and the angels feel like is right for me to hear at that time. And I truly believe that whatever cards you pull are meant for you. There's no coincidence. It's always, if you pick up one card, but you actually pick up two, and you're only meaning to pick up one, it means that you're supposed to have two cards.
Yeah.
And you can pick up as many as you want. You can pick out 10 if you want. I usually pick 1 to 3 cards, depending on how much guidance I feel I need.
And there's a book within here that tells you, like, you can do spreads, you can do past,
Oh, yeah.
present, future ones, you can do what you're being called for and what the block might be. Like this is like tarot is like a whole nother ballgame in terms that like it's a different world of ways to do this. But I always find just kind of playing around with them. And
Yeah. And I'm woo-woo. I'm not totally into that world yet.
Yeah.
I'm learning. So this is like the basic B kind of card situation. But I enjoy it and it makes me happy. So that's all that matters. So the way you pick your cards, the way I like to do it is I will just kind of put my hand over the cards, and wherever I feel like that warmth and tingling is where I will pull a card from. So I just kind of slowly go through, and I know, Megan, this is how you do it too, because I've watched you do it in our little group.
yes.
So that warmth and feeling that Kelly's talking about is energy, because as we know, our bodies are made of energy. We're all made of energy. Even these cards have an energy to them. And so she picked,
I picked
my
yes.
favorite word! Well, second favorite word.
Yeah.
No, let's be real.
My favorite word is no.
Oh, really?
Actually, funny story, that was my first word as a child.
Wait, that's so funny.
Which I find interesting because my whole life I learned to say yes. I said yes to everything, which is why I think I got sick and I had all these issues. And then it was when I learned to say no over the last year that my whole life blossomed and changed. So,
Wow.
side note for you.
I love it.
I
Well,
love that.
Peg's favorite word is fuck.
It is. It's just such an emotional word that has so many. There's no other word in the English language.
You're not going to find that card in this
No,
No, but
unfortunately.
yes.
Yes.
But yes
Fuck
is like
yes?
yeah, fuck yeah, you know?
Exactly.
Because that's the way I like to live life. It's like, I don't want to limit myself, no matter how old or young or
Yeah.
whatever you are. I'm all about that. And so when I raised the 4 kids, it was like, when the kids, that whole thing of, 2-year-old no, 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 no. And I'm like, do you really want to hear no? Because I really want to hear yes.
Yeah.
But it's an interesting thing that we
is.
can
We're going
talk
to get
about.
on a whole
Yeah.
parenting tangent of this.
Yeah.
She was really wonderful.
Yeah. So, Peg, why don't you do your thing? Do whatever feels good for you. You don't have to follow my script.
Okay.
And I love, so it's so funny. I love shuffling them and then picking the one that comes
Yeah.
up top.
Oh, yeah.
That's what I always do.
Interesting.
I shuffle it and then I'll split it. And they always say, for me, it's like, you're like B, I'm like next level woo. Like I'm over here being like, let's do all of the things that you should do. I have like all my crystals and the sprays and everything. But I read that you split it into 3 piles with your non-dominant hand. So I'm right-handed. So I do it with my left. And then I pick with my right hand. And so whatever the first card up top, as you can see, my mom's, she's shuffling them around. This is your card.
Ooh.
What is it?
It's the age of light.
Oh,
You've been training for this for lifetimes. Ooh.
And it's like this woman on the card like this. Oh,
perfect.
Mom,
That is you.
is amazing.
I always say I've been groomed my whole life. You know, you go through life with all these things that happen, and I've always said I've been groomed for this. And we were talking before we went on camera about these things that have just been coming up for me. So that is just a validation of my truth, my personal truth.
Yes.
Oh, yes.
Should
I pick one?
Please.
Because then I'll show you. This is my way of how I kind of shuffle them
And this is for every cards because Megan has her cards, I have my cards, and
yes, we'll show you the other ones too.
Part of our practice.
Kelly introduced these to me, like, what was it? Like a couple,
on Galentine's.
On Galentine's Day, yes.
We did a group card pull for Galentine's.
It was amazing. And so I fell in love and I actually bought these cards. So the reason why we're each reshuffling is you want to put your own energy and intention into it. And so I'm just saying, what did you say? I love that. Just I'm opening it up to the angels or
whatever
your guides,
lesson
higher,
you need or
whatever
answer.
I need to hear right now.
Yeah.
And then when you feel like you're ready, I take my non-dominant hand, break it into 3 piles, and then whatever feels right, you kind of put them back together. And for me, I typically just pick this first card as what is meant to be mine, and Starseed, what lights you up.
Yes.
Which is so on point.
So good.
Gosh, we got such great cards.
We did.
I love it. So those are different ways of how to use cards. There's this, I love this Spirit Animal deck, is amazing, by Kim Kranz. Like, it's beautiful artwork, and it's more like, instead of it being like Starseed or the Age of Light, this is literally just a bunch of
they're gorgeous animal spirits.
So it's like you can pick one every day, and they all have different things with them. And then there is some spirit ones in here, but it's pretty cool.
Amazing.
You really got to find ones that just like speak to you.
Yeah. And I've always, I've been working with the angels, I think, my whole life. But really for the last 25 years, this is I think, probably one of the first sets of cards that we ever saw. It's just healing with the angels.
And Doreen Virtue has a whole
gamut
of so many different cards that you can find. She has goddess cards, she has fairy cards, I have crystal cards of hers, which I really love. So yeah, you can, if you just search in like angel cards or oracle cards, there's so many on Amazon and everywhere that you can
something
find.
will light you up. So
yes.
So then after I pull my cards, I kind of just spend some time reading about what each one means for me, and then I turn to my journal. And
so within the book, there's a little book that comes in the deck.
It's right here.
That breaks down the card, and you can read more about it.
Yeah, and what each one means, and it resonates with you. There's a reason you picked it, and it usually has to do with something that's going on in your life, or a question you have, or something that you may not be sure about, and it's urging you to let it go and to really pay attention to it.
Yes.
So then I turned to my journal, and I actually created this journal. Before I was just writing in a plain notebook, but we launched this a few weeks ago, and you guys are so cute. I show up today, and they both have their journals that they use, which obviously made me so happy.
It's the best template. If you're new to journaling, the questions that she's written here and for the days and how this is like the perfect if you're just getting started to journaling. I don't know where to start.
Yeah, I felt like I wanted a gateway for people into journaling because I just started 3 months ago, so it's still really new for me. And sometimes I feel like, where do I start today? What do I write? What do I even talk about? How does this work? And instead of giving people rules, I just created prompts that would guide them through. So we do it by the full moons and the new moons. And so on full and new moon days, you have a free write, but all the other days are themed. So every Monday is Manifesting Monday. Every Sunday is Self-Care Sunday, and so on and so forth. And so each day you're focusing on different things in your life that you can reflect on. And as you go through the prompts, it starts with this. This came through to me when I was working with one of my healers. And she said to me, you need to keep saying this to yourself. Universe, show me, guide me, direct me. I turn this day over to you. And that was really sort of my mantra. And so we put that at the top of every page. And then we go through intentions, self-care, how your body feels, what you're grateful for. And then I'm surrendering to my higher will and getting out of my own way. Because I felt like I was my own worst enemy, and I was standing in my own way in every aspect of my life. And so having that constant reminder of, one, here's what I'm grateful for, thank you so much, and two, this is how I'm going to get out of my own way, step out of my fear and into myself, that has become such an important part of what I'm doing. And just talking to the universe, saying, dear universe, like, thank you for this, here's what I need, this is how my body feels, and really making that mind-body connection, which I know you guys talk so much about, the emotional side of things and the way it physically manifests within you. You're able to get that on paper so you truly understand what's happening to you on a daily basis.
I love everything you said, because the number one thing that it sparks in me is this awareness piece. And universe, God, spirit, angels, whatever word you want to call, energy, this being that's guiding you of something that's greater than you. It can be a higher power. It's something that you know is outside of yourself. And that's what we're speaking of. Whatever word resonates or you really like calls to you, filter that word for your sake. And what it is this creates an awareness that you can go back to say, like, you are aware that you're your own worst enemy. We're our hardest critics. And to be able to just understand where that's showing up in your life and every day acknowledging it and seeing it. And instead of coming from a place of judgment or anger or fear, you can just acknowledge it and see it, and then kind of see how it plays out, and you get to keep track of it.
Yeah. It's a total great thing too for accountability, which is really wonderful, because I think what happens is that if you write it down, you think in your mind, oh, it's going to be true, or it's going to manifest in, all my fears are going to be, I'm putting my energy toward the fears, which it's actually the exact opposite. Because when it stays stuck in your head like that, when you can get all those repetitive thoughts that just keep cycling in your mind, those thoughts now are down on paper, and it's almost like this unlocking of letting go and being okay with letting it go. It's now on paper. I don't have to think about that over and over again.
It's a brain dump. And that's what I love too, because if there's a question in there that you really are like, some of them you're like, I'm not really feeling that today, like skip it. There's no right or wrong way of doing this. And then what I have is another journal, which if there's something that like I'm really drawn to, I have I just write about this one question or something that like really triggered in me to like let it out. And then you can really, like, once you've written it, you can just, that was it. It's done.
Yep.
You don't have to keep playing it over in your head and holding on to whatever thought it is.
Something I was talking with a few women actually this week, which I find if there's a topic that comes up multiple times in a few days, you really need to pay attention to it.
Purposeful.
And so the thing is, we talk about journaling every morning and doing these things, and you can do it at night as well. It doesn't matter. There are no rules. But something that I think a lot of us struggle with is feeling like we maybe haven't accomplished what we wanted, or we feel like we're not enough or worthy. And so what a lot of women in my life are doing now is at the end of the day, they write down 3 things they accomplished that day. And on top of being grateful for all the things in your life, it's also recognizing and cheering yourself on for even the littlest thing. And I was talking to this girl who's actually in college, and she said, when we write down what we accomplished, we write down things like, I washed my hair today. And I thought, shoot, when I was in college, I should have been cheering that on too, because it was a rare day when I was washing my hair,
And
it's like the little things. Even if you're having a really bad day, you still did something that day.
You got out of bed.
Yeah.
Or you smiled or whatever,
Or I showed up for someone in a certain way, or I made this amazing nourishing meal for my body. And I think it's in all of this practice, it's really about honoring yourself and being proud of yourself and cheering yourself on and showing yourself grace. And so if you even want to add into this, and you do this at night and you add in 3 things that you did that day at the bottom of the page, like, those are just more ways to cheer yourself on and to know that you're showing up for you first and foremost before you show up for anyone else. And if your cup is full, you can help other people.
Well, and I was sharing with Kelly that I like to save those last 2 questions for the end of my day, the gratitude. And then what's the last question? It's
about getting out of your own way.
Yeah, about getting out of my own way, because then I can kind of reflect back. Oh, how was I that day? And the one thing that I love about journaling the most is I've been working on staying present in my life. And the more I can stay present and hone into those things that I really want to be able to listen to, have conversations, and be present, not worrying about, "Oh, what's my next thing, I want to think," things like that. So that's another advantage of actually journaling and dumping.
And I think if you're not somebody that's into writing, because I know there's some of you out there, I have heard that on your phone you have voice memos. Every phone has it. You can take these questions and you can ask them, say them out loud to yourself, and then just kind of let yourself talk it out and walk around or in your house, just sit there and have a conversation with yourself. So if you're not somebody that really likes writing, speaking it, verbalizing it, so that way you can go back and you can listen to it if you want. You can erase it if you want. You don't have to store it. So it does that same thing of it's getting those words out of your head and
Somewhere
out into
else.
into reality, where you're not just like holding on to them.
Yeah.
So that's another really good option for this as well.
Yeah, and something I found just in my morning ritual in itself is that I come into the day so much happier and so much more at peace. And instead of going right to Instagram on my phone or answering text messages or going into work, Kelli, and answering emails and being the boss lady that I am all day long, I slowly move into my day. I take that hour and a half sometimes, and I make my bulletproof matcha and I turn on my music, and sometimes I have a little dance party, and then I journal and pull cards, and I'm with my crystals, and I'm in my, cozy robe on my couch with my fluffy blankets, and I just am with myself. And then when I go into my day, I answer emails like a different person. I am not anxious. I'm not intense. I come from a place of love, and I move out of that fear before I ever interact with anyone. And that is probably the biggest shift that I have seen, is the way I show up in the world looks much different on the days when I really take time to do this.
And that right there is the exact self-love that both Megan and I, and Kelli, I know, that's what we talk about. If you can become connected at such a deep level with yourself and love yourself, that energy, you're raising your vibrational level, and everywhere you go from that point forth in your day, people are gonna like, whoa, I want some of that.
And I think
The light.
I love what you're saying is like when you say, I have my fuzzy blanket and the robe, and I come out and I play music, or you have crystals. Like, as you can see, we all have our own set of crystals. And what these are just touchstones or things that are igniting something within you, this feeling of joy, presence, awareness, that you can start feeling good in that present moment. So I use crystals like Kelli had two that she meditates with her hands. I have 2 points. I have another one. I have a selenite. These are things that if you're not a crystal person, that's totally fine. Maybe you have a rock. Maybe you just have a song that you play first thing in the morning that kind of gets you into awareness. Maybe it's just sitting, like you go to your couch. I just sit up in my bed and I just sit there and kind of like just breathe for a little bit before I get out of bed. And it's creating the space of figuring out how you want to start your day in a sense that is with purpose and that's what this journaling, that's what taking this sacred pause before you kind of rush into everything you have to get done for the day, is it's checking in with yourself and saying, how do I want to show up? How am I feeling this morning? Maybe you didn't get enough sleep. Maybe you had a really rough night the night before, the day before, or you wake up and you're maybe not feeling that great. So you can check in and be like, okay, this is how I'm feeling. This is what I have to do today, but this is how I want to show up. So if I can just carry this crystal with me all day, or just have this thought that I wrote down, or this intention, or create this mantra that you can keep coming back to the day, throughout the day as things get hard or something comes up, that's what this ritual is helping create awareness around your reactions. Because that was one thing my mom always taught us. She used to have affirmations all over our windows. She would tape them onto our mirrors. And the one that always stuck out to me is that you can't change somebody. The only thing you can control is the way you react to a situation. The situation is out of your control, but how you choose to react. So if somebody does something and you notice it triggers something inside of you, or say there's a boss that's super stressed and you're like this, well, if you've started your day in a place of awareness and you see that this is happening, you can go outside of yourself and be like, wow, okay, I'm feeling it, you're feeling it, but I'm not gonna meet you there. I can take a breath and know that this isn't me. This is yours. And then we can come back to, letting that person have the moment, it won't affect you, or you keep thinking about like, what did I do wrong? Because that was something I took ownership of so many other people's stuff. And what this practice has helped allow is that everybody is dealing with their own stuff in the world, and all you're doing is owning your own stuff and taking ownership of you and how you want to show up and be able to show up for other people.
So beautiful.
I love that, Meg.
Yes. So after you journal and after you do your crystals and after you meditate in your little dance party, which I
love the dance
love so much. Is there
kind of a
anything
dance
else?
party.
Yeah, exactly.
Is there any other things that you would use or you start practices in the day?
I think throughout the day, when I'm feeling like things maybe are going wrong, or I'm getting triggered by something, or even yesterday and the day before, I stacked so many interviews for my show. I think Tuesday I had 4 interviews back to back, which, as you guys know, is draining. And the kind of conversations that I'm having on my show, I'm just like, oh my gosh. And so for me, it's just finding a few minutes of quiet time. And even if that's maybe taking 10 minutes to meditate and turning on the Headspace app and just getting quiet and grounding myself again, because I give so much to other people, and I know you guys do too. So it's really important to come back to yourself before you move on to the next thing. And the other thing is really using food as medicine and taking time to cook good, nourishing meals for myself. Or even if I can't cook, but I need to stop and get something, making sure I'm going somewhere like an Erewhon where I can get some good sustenance for my body that allows me to continue healing and feel like I had good nourishment. Those are things that you can create ritual around throughout your day. And just slowing things down and not getting overwhelmed and rush, grind. I used to grind a lot in my former life, and I've really let go of that because I find that I'm so much happier and so much more fulfilled, and I've healed because I don't grind. I slow down and I allow things to unfold the way they need to, and I really check in with my body and I ask, what do you need right now? And I try and answer that in the best way possible and give her what she needs.
So what you just said, that midday, because we tend to just like, okay, we had this beautiful practice in the morning, and then it's like, okay, 10 o'clock, I'm on my computer, I'm on this, I got this to do this. So like, it's so true when life is really full. When you can take that at 2 o'clock or 3 o'clock and take another 10-minute little meditation or quiet, or ground yourself in grass, get outside, have some sunshine. It's no different than when you eat like a really good meal at that time too, because then you're re-energizing yourself. And that's what like Megan and I will say, your largest meal really should be in midday, because then you got the whole rest of the day in the evening to get through. And that's where it's like this nourishment. So what you're saying is so true.
Well, it's really supporting when you're expending the most energy, and you really need to fuel your body, your brain, to be able to perform at its best. And I loved what you said about checking in with yourself after you do things. Just taking a breath. I think that's also really great if you struggle with anxiety or have anything like that. As you notice that, like taking a moment to just check in. Are you breathing? So often we're holding our breath.
I hold my breath all day. Yeah.
All the time. I notice that when I'm like feeling myself, like the tension starting to rise, I'm like, you've stopped breathing. And it's amazing that you'll do it naturally, but when you pay attention to that you've stopped, you can come back and be like, ah. Or even like, I love in yoga how they do the horse breath, where you're like,
yes.
I know, that one's so fun.
It's like you just release it. And then the newest thing is, like you said, dancing. I noticed when dogs or animals, when they have like a bark or something happens, they literally shake afterwards and they shake it out. So if you had a moment where you like have to excuse yourself, you just had like an intense interaction, going out, or like you just had something in the morning, you read a text that you just really didn't like, what I've been doing is just like shaking it, being like, I don't want that anymore. And it literally, like, you let it go. Yeah. Like your body just releases it. You're like, I'm not holding on to that. Okay, I didn't like that feeling, and then it's gone. And just like movement, like we're so like wound up these days, and you got to button up. So like if you have to like go to the bathroom, like go into the bathroom, into the stall, and just kind of like whatever,
It's
let it out.
shifting your energy is what you're doing, because remember, we have these vibrations, and you have this catabolic energy that's down here and anabolic energy is up here, and we want to be in the light most of the time, right? But we wane, you kind of go up and down through it. And so when you see whether it's a person that's really catabolic and you're like, well, I don't want to be around that all day. And so how am I going to lift myself up? And what Megan just said there is so ideal, because you're moving the energy, you're shifting it, and then you can walk away going, oh, I don't have to take that one on.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, it's about creating boundaries for yourself as well. And something that I learned in my last year working in television, when I was in an office of tons of people, and being talent, you're constantly interacting with everyone. And I would come home and I would just be sobbing and I would be so overwhelmed. And what I learned is how to create this almost transparent bubble and shield. And so before I go out in the world, and before I go to an event with lots of people or something that I'm hosting, I close my eyes and I just think of this invisible shield around me, where I don't give all my energy away, and I also don't allow other people's energy to penetrate me. And that has really given me a boundary of protecting myself, but also showing up the way I want and need to for other people. And so now I don't go out and come home so overwhelmed, and I'm not exhausted, and I'm not depleted. And it's one of the most powerful things that I've done.
It makes me so excited to hear this, because generationally what I'm finding now is that, I've been doing all this for so long, but it's like, I was kind of like looked at as like either a witch doctor or voodoo woman or, oh, Peggy, now
She was good witch Glenda.
Yeah.
I was good witch Glenda. But now everything is like coming up and bubbling up. And so that practice right there, we used to call, you just walk outside and you white light yourself, you protect yourself. And for me, 25 years ago, I started doing Ho'oponopono, which is a practice that allows me to constantly shield myself and set myself up. And that's part of my morning practice that I'll share a little bit. But
For B-level wooey, you're there.
You-
girl.
I know. I think I should give myself more credit.
Really
Yes,
do.
I think
you
she's
do
rising.
all of the things. So
Yeah.
I feel like we could literally talk forever
Yes.
about all of these rituals and the things that we do. We have supplements out. We have like sprays for mists for the air. We have like tinctures, and we have our lemon waters and all the different things, prayers that we say every morning. And so we're gonna put this all into a blog that is linked in the description box below. So you can go and really find all the links to all of our little nuggets that we use to really prime ourselves for the day, because that's truly what this is what we're saying is we want these to be tools for you to just show up in the highest form of yourself, in the most authentic space where you really can be this light for all the other people around you. Because what we love sharing, all of us, is how to make this world truly a better place. And the only way we can start with that is with ourselves.
Yes.
Yep.
Is by starting with ourselves.
So true. Happy life, happy world, and everything that you said, whether it's setting the emotional intentions, the physiological intentions, all of that. So when you go out, you can be that light, which is so beautiful.
Thank you both for being the light.
Oh,
We're
love
so
you guys.
grateful for having you. So we hope you found this video helpful. To find Kelli, you can go to @Kelli Tennant
on Instagram.
and this is
theplatform.com.
the platform.
Yep.
And for us, if you don't subscribe to our channel, and @Curry Girls Kitchen, where we're constantly sharing other deliciousness into your life.
And we'll link the journey within.
Yes.
In the description
journal.
box below,
Yep.
you'll be able to click the link so you can go and purchase that and start journaling with us. And we'd love to hear from you. If you have comments, questions, reach out to us, reach out to Kelli. Make sure you listen to her podcast where she talks about all this stuff and more. And
Good stuff.
we're just so grateful for you.
Thank you. I love
Thank
you guys.
you. Bye.